Today, Cairo is one of the largest cities on Earth. Millions live here. Bridges cross the Nile. Minarets rise above endless neighborhoods. Traffic, noise, history, and human ambition fill every direction. But this is not how Cairo began. 500 years before the modern city took shape, this land was almost unrecognizable. The Nile Valley stretched wide and open. Floodplains breathed with the rhythm of the river. Scattered greenery clung to life beside water, while beyond it, the desert waited in silence. There was no dense city here, no skyline, no highways, no towers, no endless urban sprawl, only land, water, haze, and distance. At dawn, mist drifted over the floodplain. Reeds moved in the breeze. Thin clouds crossed the pale sky. The river flowed through a vast landscape that still belonged more to nature than to human design. And at night, the silence deepened. There were no city lights, no engines, no glowing roads. Only stars above the Nile, faint ripples in the darkness, and perhaps the weak firelight of distant dwellings scattered across an ancient land. This was the future site of Cairo before Cairo existed. Marshes spread along the riverbanks. Open ground stretched between water and desert. Wind-blown sand moved across lonely terrain, broken by ancient stones and tiny settlements. In the far distance, older monuments already watched from the horizon. That is what makes Cairo's story so extraordinary. Because the land where one of the world's great cities would rise was not empty in the true sense. It was surrounded by memory. Long before Cairo, this was already a land shaped by one of the oldest civilizations in human history. The Nile floodplain had been feeding life for thousands of years. The river was not just water, it was the pulse of the land. Each year, the Nile flooded the valley. Dark, fertile soil spread across the low plains. Farmers watched abundance return. From wilderness came renewal, from water came survival, and from that survival came civilization. Along the river, palms bent in the breeze. Small wooden boats drifted through calm channels. A thin strip of green life cut sharply against the endless desert. It was a fragile miracle repeated year after year, and because of that miracle, this place became a crossroads. Here, river, desert, and trade routes met. Travelers moved through, boats passed north and south. The geography itself whispered that this land mattered. Long before Cairo, ancient Egypt already flourished here. Settlements lined the Nile. Temples rose above cultivated fields. Barges drifted through the river light. Beyond them, the desert stretched outward, holding tombs, monuments, and sacred memory beneath an enormous sky. This was one of the beating hearts of the ancient world. It was a world of pharaohs and gods, of towering temples and colossal statues, of priests moving through sacred courtyards, of banners fluttering in the dry wind, of workers shaping stone into eternity. Monuments rose from the Nile world with astonishing confidence. Laborers hauled massive blocks. Scribes recorded history. Builders and rulers acted as if stone itself could resist time. And in many ways, they were right. Memphis, the early capital, spread across the Nile landscape with temples, palaces, districts, docks, and fields. Royal authority was visible everywhere. Nearby, the pyramids of Giza rose from the desert plateau in overwhelming scale, already ancient even by later standards. Tiny human figures crossed their base. The wind moved sand around them, and the monuments stood unmoved. This is the great contrast at the center of Cairo's origin story. The future site of Cairo was not the birthplace of Egyptian civilization. It stood beside something older, something heavier, something almost impossible to rival. Ancient Egypt was already monumental. The Nile Plain held early capitals, temple complexes, river commerce, and sacred spaces alive with movement. Priests moved through fire-lit courtyards. Laborers dragged stone under scorching light. Incense smoke drifted above waterfronts where grain barges passed silent statues and mud brick structures. This was not empty land waiting for history. It was land already standing in the shadow of deep civilization. And yet, strangely, there was still no true Cairo. No great city had yet risen on that exact site. Open terrain still lay beside already ancient monuments. The future capital remained only a possibility, a space waiting beneath the weight of older worlds. In the foreground, there was open Nile land. In the distance, pyramids and ruins. Between them, the surprise of absence. It seemed almost impossible that a new city could ever rise here. And yet, history kept moving. Across the centuries, Egypt changed hands again and again. Assyrians came, Persians came, Greeks came, Romans came, Byzantines followed. Each left marks on the land, in soldiers, banners, architecture, roads, and institutions. Power shifted, rulers changed. Old palaces cracked, temples weathered, roads were redrawn. The Nile world entered a long age of transition. Ancient capitals faded, trade routes shifted. New centers emerged while old monuments settled into silence. To the north, Alexandria rose in Hellenistic brilliance, a city of columns, harbors, scholars, and Mediterranean power. Under Rome, Egypt became an imperial grain province. Barges carried harvests down the Nile. Roman officials and soldiers oversaw a land tied tightly to empire. Still, the future site of Cairo remained strangely quiet. It sat beside routes of great importance, near old settlements, close to crossings that linked Upper Egypt, the Delta, Africa, and the sea. Its strategic value was growing even if no one had yet fully transformed it into a true capital. That would soon change. By the 7th century, the old Byzantine order in Egypt was weakening. Tension gathered over the land. Armies approached from Arabia. Banners rose on the horizon. Dust moved beneath advancing cavalry and infantry. In 641, Muslim forces entered Egypt. Fortresses were threatened. Defenders were exhausted. The old order began to crack. At the center of this turning point stood the Roman fortress of Babylon in Egypt, beside the Nile. Its sturdy walls and towers still dominated the riverbank. But around it, something new was beginning to form. Tents appeared, early structures gathered. A settlement started to take shape. This was the beginning of Fustat. At first, it was modest, a riverside encampment beside the fortress. Simple buildings, tents, families, soldiers, administrators, traders, animals, supplies. But the energy of the place was unmistakable. Life gathered quickly around the fort. Dirt streets emerged. Traders opened stalls. Houses rose. Boats crowded the Nile bank. The place did not feel temporary for long. It felt like momentum. A newborn city was being created by movement, trade, governance, and faith all at once. Mosques began to rise above the settlement. Warehouses filled with goods. River commerce defined its rhythm. What had begun as a military foothold was becoming something far greater. A real city was being born, and that city was Fustat, the first great Islamic capital of Egypt. Before Cairo, there was Fustat. Before the vast medieval capital, before the monumental skyline of later centuries, before the modern metropolis of bridges and towers, there was this first urban beginning beside the Nile. It was here, in the shadow of older monuments and beside the remains of older empires, that the next chapter truly began. Cairo had not yet arrived, but the foundation of its future had. What began as a military foothold was no longer just a camp beside a fortress. It was becoming a city. Around Babylon Fortress, the streets of Fustat spread wider. Markets multiplied. New homes rose quickly. The dust of construction mixed with the noise of trade, prayer, animals, and human ambition. What had started as a strategic settlement was turning into something far greater. Fustat was alive. On the Nile, boats arrived heavy with goods. In its streets, officials organized rule, merchants built fortunes, and faith gave the city identity. This was not a temporary outpost anymore. It was the first great Islamic capital of Egypt, born with astonishing speed and confidence. Inside the city, the energy was impossible to ignore. The alleys were packed. New buildings pressed close together. People moved constantly through the narrow lanes. Along the river, activity never seemed to stop. Fustat was intimate, crowded, and restless, a city still young but already full of momentum. Its roads echoed with labor. Craftsmen hammered at their work. Pack animals pushed through the streets. Merchants unloaded spices, grain, oil, textiles, and ceramics. Every corner carried the sound of production, exchange, and survival. It was not elegant in the way later capitals would be, but it was real, busy, and powerful, and it was connected to the world. Facing the Nile, Fustat opened toward distant lands. Travelers came from Arabia, Nubia, and Syria. Sails fluttered over the water. Dust rose beneath arriving caravans. Voices from different regions mixed in the streets. The city became a meeting point of peoples, languages, and goods. Life burst through it almost instantly. The docks were crowded. Families settled in. Traders claimed space. Officials governed. Mosques anchored the city spiritually while commerce drove it materially. Fustat had become one of the great crossroads of the age, linking Africa, the Mediterranean, the Red Sea, and trade routes reaching far beyond. Its geography made that possible. Here, caravans and boats converged between continents and seas. That position gave Fustat extraordinary strength. Wealth flowed in: silver, cloth, luxury goods, grain, and precious materials from distant regions. The market stalls reflected a city becoming richer by the year. And where wealth gathers, power follows. Governors, guards, and elites emerged within the city's growing order. Authority took architectural form in halls, compounds, and administrative spaces. Fustat was no longer just a place of trade. It was becoming a center of rule. Its rulers and merchants could see the future. Prosperity encouraged bigger plans. Grander buildings rose. More land was claimed. More people arrived. Fustat matured into a city of administration and commerce on a scale few could have imagined when the first tents were pitched beside Babylon Fortress. Its streets reflected that maturity. Markets overflowed with ivory, gold, linen, perfume, manuscripts, grain, glass, and precious metals. Officials worked in offices. Scholars debated ideas. Craftsmen shaped goods for local use and international trade. Diverse peoples filled its streets. Fustat had become cosmopolitan, an Islamic city deeply rooted in Egypt, but open to the wider world. Yet Fustat was only the beginning. Egypt's history was never still. Dynasties rose and fell. Rival rulers claimed power. New banners replaced old ones. And once again, new regimes imagined new capitals. Around Fustat appeared Al-Askar, then Al-Khatai. Royal cities, barracks, palaces, and formal streets emerged beside older districts. This pattern would define the land. Again and again, rulers built new centers of authority beside older ones. Egypt's capital landscape became layered, one city rising beside another, one dynasty building over the memory of the last. Palaces, garrison towns, mosques, gardens, and walls spread across the same terrain along the Nile. The future metropolis was assembling piece by piece. But then came another turning point. Dark clouds gathered over Egypt, both literally and politically. A new force approached from North Africa, the Fatimids. They did not come simply to inherit Egypt. They came to transform it. Their cavalry crossed the desert with authority and ambition. Their leaders planned not just rule, but spectacle. In 969, they conquered Egypt and began laying the foundation for a new city north of Fustat, a city called Al-Qahira, Cairo. Its founding was deliberate. This was not a chaotic settlement growing by accident. It was a planned royal capital. Strong walls, guarded gates, immense palaces, and formal streets took shape under the Egyptian sun. The city was compact, disciplined, and purposeful. Its ceremonial avenues proclaimed victory. Its gates announced power. Its palaces enclosed authority. Early Cairo was not yet a sprawling megacity. It was a palace city, controlled, regal, and carefully designed. Inside its walls lived the caliph, the court, the army, and the bureaucracy. Power was concentrated in architecture. At night, elite processions moved through its formal spaces. Lantern-lit courtyards glowed behind guarded walls. Balconies were draped with rich fabrics. Interiors gleamed with silk, carved wood, and marble. Fatimid Cairo was announcing a new age of splendor. And yet, even here, ordinary life moved quietly beneath monumental surroundings. Its people walked through streets they could not know would one day anchor one of the world's great cities. The early walls and foundations of Cairo were more than stone. They were destiny made visible. Over time, that destiny widened. Cairo began to grow beyond a closed royal enclosure. New districts appeared, trade routes connected to it. Scholars gathered there. And one institution, founded in the Fatimid period, would outlast dynasties and empires alike, Al-Azhar. At first, it was an elegant mosque and center of learning, but soon it became something. Scholars debated within its arcades. Students arrived from distant lands. Books were copied by hand and passed from one mind to another. In the courtyards of Al-Azhar, Cairo became not only a city of rulers, but a city of ideas. Learning and trade expanded together. Scholars, merchants, worshippers, and travelers all interacted in an increasingly vibrant urban world. Cairo's magnetism grew. Beside it, Fustat remained alive and productive. The two centers thrived side by side, one older and commercially rooted, the other newer and politically monumental. Together they created an extraordinary urban region. The riverfront was packed with boats. Caravans arrived from the desert, storehouses filled, minarets rose, water wheels turned, potters shaped clay, metal workers hammered copper, scribes copied texts. Wealth moved not only through markets, but through knowledge and craft. For a time, prosperity seemed unstoppable, but history does not let cities rest for long. An ominous mood began to settle over Cairo and Fustat. Wealth attracted danger, dynasties weakened, rival powers circled. Across the eastern Mediterranean world, the age of crusader conflict deepened instability. Egypt entered crisis, and in that moment of danger, one man rose. Salah al-Din, Saladin. He emerged as a commanding figure, militarily capable, politically sharp, and fully aware of what was at stake. He ended Fatimid rule and began reshaping Cairo for defense, control, and survival. Under him, the city changed again. Walls expanded, military organization intensified. High above the city, on the Muqattam Hills, a great new fortress began to rise, the Citadel. Stone was hauled uphill under a blazing sky. Workers carved defenses into the rock. Engineers surveyed Cairo below. The Nile glittered in the distance. Dust swirled around one of the most important building projects in the city's history. Half-built, the Citadel already dominated the landscape. It stood above the urban sprawl as a symbol of defended power, a fortress for a city that had grown rich, vulnerable, and essential. But the transformation came at terrible cost. Old Fustat, once the first great Islamic capital of Egypt, faced catastrophe. In wartime desperation, its districts were set ablaze. Flames consumed homes, markets, and storehouses. Black smoke swallowed the sky. Streets that had once been packed with merchants, families, scholars, and laborers vanished into fire and ash. The city that had started it all was burning, and from those ashes, Cairo would continue to rise.